Spanish media report overcrowded centres for foreigners in the Canary Islands. Two Spanish islands, Fuerteventura and Lanzarote, are located 100 and 150 kilometres from mainland Africa. Since the beginning of the year, over 22,000 migrants have arrived in the archipelago. The European Union is trying to respond to the crisis. The pact proposed by Brussels imposes compulsory admission of migrants. The package talks about illegal migration. This is human trafficking. It will not be thousands, but tens of thousands. This document surrenders the border control to the European Union, and they'll not let several thousands of migrants to Poland, but many, many more. The Polish government opposes the solutions proposed by EU bureaucrats. According to Law and Justice, the document only encourages illegal migration. The Migration Pact is extremely dangerous. It contains two rules. The first is that the European Commission ultimately decides how many illegal immigrants each member state should accept. The second is that the penalty for not accepting an illegal migrant is not €22,000, but it may be as much as determined by European officials. The European People's Party has been pushing for the Migration Pact for many weeks. The members of this faction in the European Parliament are representatives of the Civic Platform and the Polish People's Party. If the future government will consist of three opposition parties, Civic Platform, Third Way and New Left, the pact may be adopted in a very short time. Part of the Polish opposition claims that the Migration Pact cannot be adopted in its current form. In this form it can be changed. After all, we helped so many people during the war in Ukraine. In a nationwide referendum to the question, do you support the admission of thousands of illegal immigrants from the Middle East and Africa in accordance with the forced relocation mechanism imposed by the European bureaucracy, 98.6% replied no. Despite such a clear voice of Polish society, the vote is non-binding because the turnout did not exceed 50% of eligible voters. It is sad that Poles were fooled by this thoughtless action of the opposition into not taking part in the vote. Are you in favour of illegal migration, letting migrants enter Poland? And Poles allowed themselves to be fooled to boycott this question and gave permission for Donald Tusk to do it. During the parliamentary elections, alarm signals were sent from all over Poland about breaking the electoral silence and agitating against the referendum. Members of the election committees in polling station asked questions that were not permitted by law, such as whether the person who wanted to vote wanted to receive a referendum ballot paper. According to Marian Kowalski, there were also other irregularities. 1,000 were added to the list of 2,000 eligible people. There was a risk that these people could vote elsewhere. Yesterday, the chairman of the European People's Party, Manfred Weber, congratulated Donald Tusk on his election result. Very good news from Poland. Poles turned out in droves to open a new era for the country. Big congratulations to our friend Donald Tusk, the Civic Platform and partners from the opposition, who brought a message of hope. Nobody will stand in the way of Poland and its European future. Tusk now has his hands untied. The entire boycott operation carried out by all opposition parties has resulted in the referendum not blocking Brussels' actions, and Morawiecki's veto can be overturned. Between 2019 and 2021, more than 1,500 people were detained in EU member states on suspicion of terrorism-related offences. There have been 15 terrorist attacks in 2021 alone. As a result of the Hamas attack on Israel and retaliatory operation in the Gaza zone, an uncontrolled influx of migrants from the Middle East seems inevitable, and with it, we may be exposed to another wave of terrorist attacks. The question now is, will the new Polish government oppose the resettlement and save Poles from the horrors of so-called cultural enrichment, or will it bow to EU pressure and let the migrants in exchange for a pat on the back from EU bureaucrats?